Can BPD be healed? A compassionate approach. Hi everyone, and welcome back to our channel. We're grateful to have you here with us for another video. If you find this content helpful, please tap the like button and consider subscribing. Your support means a lot and helps us reach more people. Borderline personality disorder affects millions of people worldwide, yet there's still so much misunderstanding about what it means to live with this condition and whether healing is possible. Today we're going to explore this question with compassion, understanding, and hope. First, let's address the elephant in the room. Can BPD be healed? The answer isn't as simple as yes or no, but it's far more hopeful than many people realize. BPD is not a life sentence of suffering. It's a condition that can be managed, improved, and in many cases, people can recover to the point where they no longer meet the diagnostic criteria. When we talk about healing from BPD, we need to understand what we're really discussing. BPD involves intense emotions, unstable relationships, fear of abandonment, identity disturbance, and sometimes self-destructive behaviors. These symptoms develop as coping mechanisms, often in response to early trauma or invalidating environments. The brain learns these patterns as survival strategies, which means they can also be unlearned and replaced with healthier responses. The concept of healing in BPD isn't about becoming a completely different person or erasing your past. It's about developing skills to manage emotions effectively, building stable relationships, and creating a sense of self that isn't constantly shifting. Many people with BPD describe their healing journey as learning to become their own best friend rather than their worst enemy. Research shows us that BPD symptoms typically decrease over time, especially with proper treatment. Studies have found that after 10 years, about half of people diagnosed with BPD no longer meet the full criteria for the disorder. This isn't just symptom management, this is genuine improvement in quality of life, relationships, and emotional stability. One of the most effective treatments for BPD is dialectical behavior therapy, developed specifically for this condition. DBT teaches 4 core skills modules. Mindfulness helps you stay present and aware without being overwhelmed by emotions. Distress tolerance gives you tools to survive crisis situations without making them worse. Emotion regulation teaches you to understand and manage intense feelings. Interpersonal effectiveness helps you maintain relationships while respecting your own needs. But DBT isn't the only path to healing. Cognitive behavioral therapy can help change negative thought patterns. Schema therapy addresses the deep-rooted beliefs formed in childhood. Mentalization-based treatment focuses on understanding your own and others' mental states. The key is finding what works for you, because healing isn't one size fits all. Many people with BPD have experienced trauma, and addressing this trauma is often crucial for healing. Trauma-informed therapy approaches recognize that symptoms aren't character flaws but adaptive responses to difficult experiences. When we understand the why behind our reactions, we can begin to develop compassion for ourselves and choose different responses. Self-compassion is perhaps one of the most powerful tools in BPD recovery. People with BPD often have an incredibly harsh inner critic that constantly judges and attacks. Learning to speak to yourself with kindness, the way you would speak to a good friend, can transform your relationship with yourself. This doesn't mean making excuses for harmful behavior, but rather approaching your struggles with understanding rather than judgment. The role of relationships in BPD healing cannot be overstated. While relationships can be triggers for BPD symptoms, they're also essential for healing. Healthy relationships provide opportunities to practice new skills, receive validation, and experience security. This might start with a therapeutic relationship, then extend to friendships, family relationships, and romantic partnerships. Building a support system takes time and patience. It means learning to communicate your needs clearly, setting appropriate boundaries, and gradually trusting others. It also means accepting that not every relationship will work out, and that's okay. The goal isn't perfection but progress in how you connect with others. Identity issues are central to BPD, and healing involves developing a more stable sense of self. This doesn't mean your personality becomes fixed or boring. It means you develop core values, interests, and goals that remain relatively consistent even when your emotions are intense. You learn to separate temporary emotional states from your fundamental identity. Recovery often involves grieving. Grieving the childhood you didn't have, the relationships that were damaged, the time lost to symptoms, and even the intense emotions that, while painful, may have felt like part of your identity. This grief is natural and necessary. It's part of making space for who you're becoming. The journey isn't linear. There will be setbacks, difficult days, and moments when you feel like you're back at square one. This doesn't mean you're not healing or that recovery isn't possible. Healing from BPD often looks like a spiral upward, where you might revisit similar challenges but handle them with greater skill and self-awareness each time. Medication can play a supporting role in BPD treatment, though there's no specific medication for BPD itself. Antidepressants might help with depression and anxiety. Mood stabilizers can help with emotional intensity. Antipsychotics might be prescribed for severe symptoms. The key is working with a psychiatrist who understands BPD and views medication as one tool among many, not a cure-all. Self-care in BPD recovery goes beyond bubble baths and face masks, though those can be nice too. It's about developing daily practices that support your emotional regulation. This might include regular sleep schedules, nutritious eating, exercise that you enjoy, creative outlets, spiritual practices, or simply spending time in nature. The goal is to have a toolkit of activities that help you maintain emotional balance. Many people with BPD are highly sensitive and empathetic. These traits, while sometimes overwhelming, can also be tremendous strengths. In recovery, you can learn to harness your emotional intensity and sensitivity as sources of creativity, compassion, and deep connection with others. Your ability to feel deeply can become an asset rather than just a burden. The stigma surrounding BPD can be one of the biggest obstacles to healing. Even some mental health professionals hold negative stereotypes about people with BPD. This stigma can lead to inadequate treatment, self-shame, and hopelessness. Part of healing involves challenging these stigmatizing beliefs, both in yourself and in how you allow others to treat you. Family and friends play a crucial role in BPD recovery, but they also face their own challenges. Loving someone with BPD can be emotionally exhausting and confusing. Family therapy or support groups can help loved ones understand the condition better and learn how to provide support without enabling harmful behaviors. Healing often involves improving these important relationships. Work and career considerations are important aspects of BPD recovery. The emotional intensity and relationship difficulties associated with BPD can impact professional life. However, many people with BPD are highly creative, passionate, and dedicated workers. With proper treatment and coping strategies, career success is absolutely possible. Some find that their lived experience with mental health challenges even guides them toward helping professions. The question of whether to disclose your BPD diagnosis is personal and complex. In some relationships and situations, sharing this information can lead to greater understanding and support. In others, it might result in discrimination or judgment. Learning to assess when and how much to share is part of developing healthy boundaries and self-advocacy skills. Recovery stories matter. Hearing from people who have successfully managed their BPD symptoms can provide hope and practical insights. These stories remind us that healing is possible and show us what it might look like. However, it's important to remember that everyone's journey is unique. Your recovery might look different from someone else's, and that's perfectly okay. The concept of post-traumatic growth is relevant to BPD recovery. This refers to the positive psychological change that can result from struggling with difficult circumstances. Many people with BPD develop remarkable resilience, empathy, and wisdom through their healing journey. They often become advocates for mental health, support others facing similar challenges, or simply live with a deeper appreciation for emotional well-being. Mindfulness practices deserve special attention in BPD healing. Learning to observe your thoughts and emotions without immediately reacting to them is transformative. This might involve formal meditation, but it can also be as simple as taking 3 deep breaths before responding to a triggering situation. Mindfulness creates space between stimulus and response, giving you the opportunity to choose your actions rather than being driven by automatic reactions. The role of creativity in healing shouldn't be underestimated. Many people with BPD find that artistic expression helps them process emotions, communicate experiences that are hard to put into words, and develop a sense of identity separate from their symptoms. Whether it's writing, painting, music, dance, or any other creative outlet, art can be both healing and empowering. Physical health and mental health are intimately connected. People with BPD often struggle with sleep issues, eating problems, or engaging in behaviors that harm their physical health. Recovery involves taking care of your body as well as your mind. This doesn't mean you need to become a fitness enthusiast, but rather finding ways to treat your body with respect and care. The importance of hope cannot be overstated. BPD can feel overwhelming and permanent, but it's neither. Hope isn't about blind optimism or denying the reality of your struggles. It's about believing that change is possible, that you can learn new skills, and that your current pain doesn't define your future possibilities. Hope is often what sustains people through the most difficult parts of their healing journey. Professional help is typically necessary for BPD recovery, but it's not always easy to find the right therapist. Look for someone who has specific training and experience with BPD, who treats you with respect and compassion, and who believes in your capacity for change. The therapeutic relationship itself becomes a place to practice healthier relationship patterns. As you heal from BPD, you might find that your relationship with the diagnosis itself changes. Initially, it might feel like a relief to have a name for your experiences, or it might feel like a devastating label. Over time, many people come to see their diagnosis as just one aspect of their complex identity, neither something to be ashamed of nor something that defines everything about them. The goal of BPD treatment isn't to eliminate all emotional pain or difficulty from your life. That's not realistic or even desirable. The goal is to develop the skills and self-awareness to navigate life's challenges without being overwhelmed by them. It's about building a life worth living, with meaningful relationships, purposeful activities, and a sense of inner stability. Recovery from BPD often involves developing what therapists call wise mind, the ability to balance emotional responses with rational thinking. This doesn't mean suppressing emotions or becoming purely logical. It means integrating both your emotional wisdom and your rational understanding to make decisions that serve your long-term well-being. Many people with BPD have experienced invalidation throughout their lives, being told their emotions are too much, wrong, or inappropriate. Healing involves learning to validate your own experiences while also developing the skills to express emotions in healthy ways. Your feelings are valid, even if your actions in response to those feelings haven't always been helpful. The concept of radical acceptance is crucial in BPD recovery. This means accepting reality as it is, not as you wish it were. This doesn't mean you have to like difficult situations or that you can't work to change them. It means you stop fighting against what you cannot control and focus your energy on what you can influence. Building distress tolerance skills is often one of the first priorities in BPD treatment. These are techniques to help you survive crisis situations without making them worse through impulsive or self-destructive actions. These might include intense exercise, cold water on your face, holding ice cubes, or other techniques that help regulate your nervous system quickly. The healing journey often involves rediscovering who you are beyond your symptoms. Many people with BPD describe feeling like they don't know themselves, or that their identity changes constantly. Recovery involves exploring your values, interests, strengths, and dreams. It's about building a sense of self that can remain stable even when emotions are intense. Forgiveness, both of yourself and others, often plays a role in BPD healing. This doesn't mean excusing harmful behavior or putting yourself in dangerous situations. It means releasing the burden of resentment and self-hatred that can keep you stuck in painful patterns. Forgiveness is a gift you give yourself, not necessarily others. The question of medication compliance often comes up in BPD treatment. Some people find medications helpful for managing symptoms like depression, anxiety, or sleep problems. Others prefer to focus on therapy and lifestyle changes. The important thing is to work with your healthcare providers to find an approach that works for you and to be honest about your experiences with any treatments you try. Many people with BPD are perfectionists, which can actually interfere with healing. Recovery involves learning to accept good enough and progress over perfection. It's about celebrating small victories and being patient with yourself as you develop new skills. Perfectionism often masks a deep fear of rejection or failure, and addressing these underlying fears is part of the healing process. The role of spirituality or philosophy in BPD healing varies greatly among individuals. Some find comfort and guidance in religious or spiritual practices. Others develop their own philosophical framework for understanding suffering and meaning. Still others find secular approaches more helpful. The key is finding sources of meaning and connection that resonate with you personally. As you progress in your healing journey, you might find yourself wanting to help others who are struggling with similar challenges. This desire to give back is beautiful and can be part of your recovery. However, it's important to ensure you're helping from a place of strength rather than trying to fix others to avoid dealing with your own issues. The concept of reparenting often comes up in BPD recovery. This involves learning to give yourself the emotional support, validation, and guidance that you might not have received consistently as a child. It's about becoming a loving, firm, and supportive parent to yourself, setting appropriate boundaries while also showing yourself compassion. Recovery from BPD is possible, but it requires commitment, patience, and usually professional support. It's not about becoming a different person, but about becoming the healthiest version of yourself. It's about learning skills that allow you to have the relationships and life experiences you desire. Most importantly, it's about recognizing that you deserve healing, happiness, and love just as much as anyone else. The journey may be challenging, but you are stronger and more resilient than you realize. Every step you take toward healing, no matter how small, is an act of courage and self-love. Your struggles do not define your worth, and your past does not determine your future. Healing is possible, hope is real, and you are worthy of all the good things life has to offer. If this message speaks to you, we'd love it if you gave this video a thumbs up, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more meaningful content. Your support helps other people discover their path to healing too. Thank you for being part of this growing community.